Today on Earth Focus, jobs or environment? A new film by Suzanne Barraza looks at conflict over plans to open a uranium mill in Colorado. Coming up on Earth Focus.
So did you guys see the paper this week about the mill?
Yeah, look at what's going on. We're trying to open up a uranium mill, and
350 to you.
They're trying to shut it down. It was a big dream, and people are looking forward to these jobs out here.
I want them to understand that there's people here.
Yeah,
Jobs.
but I don't think they care about us people. I mean, there's no compromise. They don't care about us.
Nuclear power was supposed to be our future. A lot of this town was here because of Union Carbide, and then when they left, we're still here. They're long gone now. It's almost like we're still surviving, but it's just kind of like those last few breaths. We want to keep breathing, but we've got to get something in here to do it.
Nuclear energy remains our largest source of fuel that produces no carbon emissions. We'll need to increase our supply of nuclear power.
It is the first uranium mill to be built in the United States in 25 years.
The only thing I'm interested in is seeing this mill get stopped.
If you're only hearing the piece about jobs, you're not protecting your community. I dare you to do better.
The people complaining the most are driving to the protest in their Mercedes. You can only kick a dog so many times, and pretty soon he's going to turn around and bite you.
We have a lot of people telling us that the land is more important than the people.
There is no impact from what we have done or what we plan to do in the future regarding uranium mine development.
We need more production, more efficiency, more incentives. And that means building a new generation of safe, clean nuclear power plants in this country.
They are not telling you the truth. I'm really disgusted, and I'm against this mill.
I guess initially going into the film, I probably felt that the mill was a bad idea. Like, why would anyone want to usher back in an industry that had obviously shortened people's lives and had created a lot of environmental havoc in the area? So I was going to do the film in this community, looking at the pros and cons within that community. But what I found, which surprised me, is that in that region, almost everyone was unanimously for this uranium mill. So I really wanted the film to look from a very human perspective why that would be, why people would usher back in this industry.
As the mayor of Natarita, I am very excited and hopeful that in 6 to 8 months we're going to start seeing ore trucks rolling through the town, we're going to see the mining picking up, and we're going to see the milling moving forward.
The towns of Natarita and Nucla are located in the west end of Montrose County.
Can everybody hear me okay out there? Let's talk a bit about the industry in general, where our project's situated. Of course, it is the uranium mining industry. Nothing new to you people. The supply-demand got such that we could reopen these facilities, build this mill, and we're going to bring that to reality so that you can reap benefits from that along with the company.
Uranium has been a huge economic boom to this whole area. These small communities never had it as good as when there was uranium mining. And I do know that when you're struggling to put your kids through college, put food on the table, some of these arenas look very, very appealing. And I cannot say that if I was in that boat that I wouldn't be right there, swimming the same stream. Is it worth it to open more mines and more mills? To me, it's an issue we all face, not just me. or the miners. It's an issue that we all face because we do not give up our consumption of fossil fuels. And so where it's going to lead, I'm just a cowgirl. I don't know.
After spending some time in this community, I really empathized with their position. First of all, they have a very strong sense of community and of place. And I feel if you are from some of these smaller towns in America where community is so important, you don't want to lose that. You don't, people just say, just pick up and go to a city, like go somewhere else. And they're saying, no, we love it here. We've been here for generations. I think it started out for me that I thought it would be more of an environmental film, and very early on I thought this is much more a story about rural America and about economy and how it's really unfair if someone's in a state of desperation where they feel that they have to pit job against health and environment. That's like the expression, being between a rock and a hard place. That's just not a fair place to be.
5 years we have been trying to keep our doors open, thinking any day now those jobs were going to be here. These are the only people that have come in and offered us jobs. If any of the people here who are against it had come in and said they had jobs to match it, we'd be behind that too. But right now this is all we've got. And I just want the people here to remember that they're keeping 1,200 people from surviving, and that's really all I want them to know. Is that every one of you that has stood up against this could have brought in jobs for us, and you didn't yet. 5 years. So please remember that when you guys make this decision. We're waiting, and we've been waiting a long time. Thank you.
The film also has it strikes on issues of classism as well, because Telluride, which is one of their closest neighbors, is a very wealthy ski town. And I really felt that it's also looking at the issue of you can be an environmentalist if you can afford to be an environmentalist. So obviously the people in Telluride can afford to be concerned about their environment, and they are. And not a good or a bad thing, not a judgment, but the people in Nucla and Natarita were extremely frustrated because they felt like Telluride and the opposition to the mill was really slowing down the process in getting the mill built.
Energy Fuels and the mill will happen because they have worked diligently in making that process.
But the process has had a little bit of extra help from some of those people.
They have kept this mill held up a long time.
And there's not a job that doesn't have a degree.
There's more people killed in skiing accidents and mining accidents.
Am I the only one that's realized that Nucla started as a hippie commune that got taken over by miners, and Telluride started as a mining community that got taken over by hippies?
They don't care.
I think the biggest thing that I have found is it's not that they don't care, it's just that they don't understand. Yeah. We've always been a good neighbor, and I think in return that's what we're asking them to do, is be a good neighbor. Come down and understand us. Don't just try to save us, because we don't need to be saved. We understand the regulations, we understand the problems, and we're willing to work through them.
Hopefully audiences will will just enjoy something being balanced, because the film really is balanced and looking at both sides.
The Cotter Uranium Mill is about 2 miles uphill from the Arkansas River that flows through our community. I live 1.25 miles from the mill, and so I have 2 wells that were contaminated by the Cotter Uranium Mill. There are about 125 wells that were contaminated from Cotter. Nobody told us in all those 8 years that the well was contaminated. We tested our well when we first bought the property. We went to the county extension office and they gave us the bottles and told us what company to send it to, but they failed to tell us the really important thing. Hey, have it tested for radionuclides and heavy metals. I do not believe that it is okay for a company, in order to make profit, to pollute people against their will. I've heard Energy Fuel officials stand up in front of big crowds and say, oh, that's all from the past. It's all going to be different now. We have better regulations. You know what? You can look at what has been happening right here, this year, last month, last year, the year before, and you can see exactly how they will regulate that mill. The claim that nuclear energy is environmentally green is just simply a myth, because they're only looking at the carbon dioxide released at the reactor itself. Our country has just been bamboozled with this. For them to consider building new mills and creating new spots like this really, I think, emphasizes the hidden costs that the people in the country never see that have to do with nuclear energy.
I'd rather be out mining than harvesting tomatoes. Frustration doesn't even come close to describing how we feel about our lives and our choices being taken away from us. When you've been out of work, your unemployment's running out, your savings is gone, your wife and your kids are gone, people are getting very, very angry. If the economy falters anymore, if people don't realize that nuclear is our best option, Telluride keeps fighting us tooth and nail, it might not happen, period. And I really hope I'm wrong.
My hope for the film is that audiences who see the film understand that it's really not a simple issue. When we're talking about things like the big picture of energy, this is a very small microcosm example of people and lives that are affected by our energy policy, which, especially as Americans, use more and more energy, more than Europeans, more obviously than the rest of the world. And yet we don't seem to have a very clear understanding of how we are supposed to keep supplying that energy. Attention needs to be made to our energy needs and policies.
Airwaves, a global channel of uncompromising stories, world news, documentaries, entertainment, and culture. Link TV, connecting you to the world. For more information, visit linktv.org.